Well, hello and welcome to the Arts and Wellness Cafe. So, how are you doing today? Now, wherever you are in the world, I want you to just stop for 60 seconds, 1 minute, and just think about how you are. Think about how you're feeling. Think about what you're feeling. Think about if you've just been going around on automatic with a pain and you'd kind of blocked it out, but actually it's there. And think about taking a breath and just being in the moment. So, thank you for taking part. And I will say this every week, it is really important for us to think about how we're feeling, what's going on with us, and how we are just generally. And then you can think of the specifics, you can hone in on those things. But just for a minute, just kind of think, well, yeah, how am I feeling? How am I feeling in my body? It's funny, just as I'm speaking about that, I can feel this little pain in my shoulder joint. I didn't feel it before, but maybe I've been carrying stuff. We're sitting in a different position today. Looks like we're busy today, sort of like Piccadilly Central here today. So so that's the sun. I'm trying to tidy up the studio. I've got like a 2-day window. Cole, please sit down. Just find your comfy seat. Normally what he does is sit right behind me, but it feels really claustrophobic because then I can't move the chair or twirl around in my break. Anyway, so it is good to do that. And the word that we started this week for creating in faith was joyous, and we're going to pick up that theme and continue with that. And tomorrow, if you can join me on Creative Gardener, I will be going out into the garden and looking from a garden perspective, an artist's garden perspective, and that's the word joyous, and then that will tide us over for we've got the weekend, bank holiday weekend, and it's Good Friday. Is it Good Friday? Yeah, Palm Sunday, Good Friday. And it's a time for us to reflect. So, have you got your cup of tea? Have you got your cappuccino or whatever it is you drink? Today I'm drinking a cup of tea. And I've made it just right. It's just, it's just the right sweetness. I mean, I do take sugar. It's just the right sweetness. It's just the right, I use almond milk, and it's just the right flavour. It's not too strong. Yeah? So I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And if you've got any questions about anything that I share today, then please let me know. Heads up, I will be talking about fabric art journal. Fabric art journal. I will be looking at some stitch projects and that I've completed. You've seen, if you've watched any of the other programs, if you've watched any of the other videos, then you would have seen 2 that I'd started, and I'm really happy with their progress. They're not finished as if that so that they can be hung up, but they're further along in the process, and it looks really nice. And I'm also going to be, look, see, he's right behind me. I can't even, let's see. I need to move, Cole. Yeah. I'm going to be reviewing this book, Enchanted Adornment, so you'll catch that later on. And yeah, so thinking about the word joyous and what that means to you, and especially from a creative perspective. So for me, when I think of, I don't normally think about that word, but I feel the word. I feel good when I come into my studio. I've got my routine. The only thing that was kind of moving me away from that feeling of feeling joy when I came in was that I had done several projects and the place looked like, I don't even know what. The place is a bit better now. I was trying the, the Marie Kondo method, and I just got too overwhelmed. It was just like, there is no way I'm pulling out everything in this studio and putting it back. I couldn't do it in a day. So thinking about, okay, well, let's think about sections. So what I started doing was just cleaning. Okay, let me clean my desk. So then move that out and clean it, and then move around the studio like that. Going through the contents of, say, drawers and things like that, and thinking about whether a supply, are you really going to still use this supply? And for most of them, it's yes. Because as a mixed media artist, it's just like I may be doing using these particular supplies this week, and maybe I'll be using a whole set of different supplies. So there's no point in getting rid of your, say, for argument's sake, pastels, because I'm going to be using them. I'm not using them, and I haven't used them for a while, but I will be using them in other projects coming up. And there's a long list of projects that I want to do, and I'm also trying to not streamline everything, but just trying to get things ordered. So if you wanted to do a course with me, you could. At the moment, I'm on courses that are hosted, and I've got a few of my own coming out. So you will be alerted to when those come up. But can you see him? You see the top of his head? But he's like thinking, why are you staring out the window talking to yourself? So I know that when I have that all sorted out, especially in the studio, that the joy returns. I mean, I'm feeling joy now, but I'm just saying that it just got so bad that it's just like, I can't work here. I can't work in this like this. And, you know, it can get dusty. So it was just like, where's all this stuff? Not where's all this stuff? Yeah, where is all this stuff coming from? Just there. And so needing to tidy up. And I think my next big project, if there was, you know, like a building project, it would be to, I think what I need to do is, so everything would need to come out, everything would need to be packed away, and I want to get a window that's you can open here. So I want to put one here, that one there's at the end, but I want to have one here. And there's some work to do upstairs, but in the studio I want to lay some flooring down, tiles, maybe, you know, like ceramic tiles, and repaint everything, repaint the walls, and put in some storage drawers and things like that under the stairs, so we've got that area. But just have some more, maybe some more built-in storage, so that there's so much mishmash of, you know, I've got my 2 tables, I've got, you know, and containers and things like that, and drawers and things like that, but just have a more kind of ordered it would just feel a bit better. Not only feel a bit better, but things could be better organised, because then you've got, say, all your pastels in one drawer, you've got all your paints, because I've got some paints over here, I've got embellishments, I've got paper stuff, I've got paints. It's sort of like all over the place. And now I did, a bit of tidying up. It's just like the things that I would normally reach for here, it's just like, oh, where are they? Oh, they're over there. So being in the studio does bring me joy. And as I say, every now and again, I have to check it and say, okay, well, what feels off? I don't feel like just experimenting today. It's because it needs tidying up, or water containers need to be cleaned, brushes, kind of thing. And the other thing is that I'm working on different projects, and that's what brings me joy as well. Being able to work on a variety of projects. And can you see my sculpture? It's called the Stilt Walker's Treasure. That was my first it was the largest sculpture I've done to date. Anyway, being a mixed media artist brings me joy. Being able to share on, not necessarily on different platforms, but being able to share the things that I'm inspired by, or things like, like doing the Creating in Faith on the podcast and talking about a word and what that means to me, and hopefully being able to inspire somebody else. And even the Arts and Wellness Cafe, being able to share what I'm getting up to, and just share the things that I'm inspired by and love doing. And I think it is important, therefore, for you to think about those things that bring you joy, those things that you may have been putting aside because you didn't feel valued enough to pursue them, or you didn't value yourself. Not that you didn't feel valued by other people, but you didn't value yourself enough to say, look, do you know what, I think I'm going to do this. And I was speaking yesterday about it, talking about how we can, we feel guilty about pursuing the things that is bubbling over, that we've always wanted to do. And then you get a space of time, and then you fill it with other ways of serving others. And I'm not saying that serving others is something that you shouldn't do, but where you don't then pursue the things that you would like to pursue, where it becomes you find excuses to not do the thing that you want to do, and feel that like you may want to, you're using excuses to avoid doing the things that you should do. Yeah. So, and you find distractions. Now I do that sometimes, so I'm offering a course. It's a new course, and it's a garden inspired, and it's called How Does Your Garden Grow? And it's currently being offered in the Art for Earth bundle, and I will leave the details, the link below. And you get, there's over 45 teachers and over 85 offerings. So there's courses, there's PDFs, there's mini books, so a whole load of things, prints. I'm doing mine's a 5-part course, and you create an image that is inspired by the garden. So we go around, we look at plants, we look at the shapes, we look at colours, and we look at the things that we can take from nature and use in our studio space, creative space. Then I share with you. So I'll share the images with you. So if you don't have a garden space, you've still got access to the images. And then I share some stamps. So I've created some not art stamps, but rubber stamps that have a floral themed, and so we're using that. We're using those three things to kind of inspire the piece of art, and then we create this image. And so, you know, you're also doing mark making, using the stamps, using all of those things, looking at the shapes and breaking them down, and then using those. And it's really quite interesting. When I was doing it, I was thinking, yeah, it's amazing when you know, look at the flowers more carefully and you think about how what they look like and their shape, because, you know, they're there so that they can be attractive to the you know, the insects. And so we do that. We do this mixed media painting, and then there is so there's the course details, and then there is there's another painting that I do that you get as a print. And so I did this course, and it's available up until, it's for a week, so it's available now. And so come, say, the 13th of April, I will be offering that as a separate course. So at the moment, you can get it for a really great price of, how much is it now? I think it's 70 something. Is it? I can tell you right now, or I can leave it in the, I will leave it anyway, but I'll leave the link anyway. But it's just like, no, I need to know now. Where are we? Okay, 75. Yeah, so the value is nearly £3,000, but you can buy it for 75. And obviously, there's so many courses there. There's so many things in that bundle. It's a great deal. But I was dawdling about offering my own single course. It's just like, it's different when you're in with the group, but when you're there out there on your own, it's just like, oh my god. I don't think other people, I don't know, do they? You know, you get, it's funny what you get nervous about. Yeah, so anyway, so I was distracting myself, and I'll do everything else but the thing that, it's just like, offer the course already, because there are people who want to take it. Same with my pastel course, and I'm working on that, and that will be available. I'm not going to put a date on it, but it will be available in the next few months. So you'll be able to, if you're interested in playing with pastels, and it's quite, I'll even say so myself, it's quite a good course. There's like, I can't even sell it now, like, you know, in the sense of, oh, there's over X amount of videos, but there's you know, quite a few hours of video, and it's all broken down, and yeah, it's going to be a lovely course. But I was distracting myself with other things, and I'll tell you what one of those distractions was. It was, and it took, oh, he's gone. No, you see it. It took, it's just over there now. It took part of my joy away, and it was the, and this is a fabric book as well. Anyway, it was supposed to be 100 embroidery stitches. Now, I told you last week, you know, my hand's been hurting me, and I was just feeling, I don't want to do this anymore. I enjoyed the stitches that I've done. I've done 50 stitches. That's enough for me. So it was more, it wasn't about the, oh, you know, well, you didn't do all the way to 100. It was like, this is my challenge. This is my challenge. So what do you want to do? So I had to say to myself, what do you want to do? There's other things you want to work on, and I'm really excited to show you some of the other stitch things I've been doing. And it's weird. I think it was I was using a small hoop, embroidery hoop, and holding it in a particular way, and it was just putting strain on my hands, and it was just like, you don't need it. You're not proving anything to yourself to do the 100-day project. It's about you enjoying this journey and being creative and getting from it what you want. And that's, the whole thing for me. And I was saying to myself, but does this mean that, what's other people going to say, because you didn't do all 100? And it was just like, who are these other people? Are they doing their own project? And if anybody is moaning about it, because if you have done a 100-day project, you actually know, you understand what goes into committing yourself for 100 days. And so what I'm saying for me is that I'm still committed to creating and doing art, and I'm still doing bits of stitching. But as this, I've got to, do all the editing of the imagery and put it all nicely and stuff. I've done my 50, it's done. So this is the fabric book, which I did share last week. And I was thinking of maybe putting in something here, like a little pocket, but I thought, do you know what, just step away. Because as I say, the joy that I was feeling, it was just like, I'm not feeling it. And I know myself well enough to know that I'm not just saying, oh, you hit a rocky patch and you give up. It's just like, no, I need to move on. I've got other things I need to do, which involves stitching. So I need to make sure that I'm looking after myself, which is the most important thing. I was going to say something to you. Oh, the one thing I do want to do, because I was thinking, even though I've done all these stitches, I don't necessarily know what they're called. So I'm going to go back in and I was just like, oh, why don't you, that's what I was saying this morning, why don't you stitch the names of the stitches in? I was just like, I really don't have time to stitch 50 stitches. So I'll find a nice pen that I can write with, because that's going to take time anyway as well. And that may have been something that I could have thought about as I was doing it. But anyway, so that is that. I'm going to put that to bed. And but it'll be nice. So I like this fabric journal. I want it to be a bit more kind of stocky, a bit more firmer. So yeah, I'm thinking about what I might need to do, or whether I need to do anything, because it's not as if I'm going to be grabbing it up and I'm not going to be grabbing it up, but maybe even that. Yeah, but having the names of the stitches is something that I want to make sure that I have in there. And then I'll just go through it. Yes, I'll just go through it. Okay, so that was that. This is the last day of the month. Amazing, isn't it? Let's just take 30 seconds to take that in. It's the last day of the month, and it was this time last year. Well, no, it was like 2 weeks. So around this time last year, well, not around this time, but 2 weeks into March was when everything kind of was kicking off, I think, for us here in Barbados. And we had our artist studio tours, and the house had been filled with, like, I think there was a 15 group that a 15-person group that came on the Sunday at the end of the artist studio tours, and it was just like, it was quite overwhelming because, you know, having so many people in the house, and we wasn't really even thinking about, you know, Corona then, and we were potentially thinking about the following year's artist studio tours. But that made me, I think after having so many people, I realised that whilst this wasn't the environment for me to have so many people up in my studio space or up in my home. If I had a separate gallery, then that would be different. But having people actually in your home, I think that kind of just made me really think about it and think about, you know, the interaction and just how I felt. But yeah, just it's been a year. But also, you know, think about what, when you think back and you think, well, a year's passed and it doesn't feel like it. But if you think, well, next, you know, this coming year I want to do X, Y, and Z, think about how quickly time passes, and you don't want to continuously be giving yourself excuses as to why you can't do a thing. You know, you have to stop feeling guilty about doing the thing you want to do that brings you joy. Now we're talking creatively, like, you know, any warped mind out there who's saying, oh yeah, well she said she said I should do what brings me joy, and, you know, doing this horrible thing brings me joy. But it's about artists, creativity, you know, and the broad spectrum of creativity. What is it that you're thinking of? So yeah, just think about why you're holding yourself back, what you're waiting for. Because I've been saying, you know, I'm too old now to hold back. You know, how many years do you actually think you've got? And I'm not saying that I'm that old, but it's just like a year's just passed. So what things did you say you were going to do outside of, you know, a pandemic? But outside of that, what things did you say you wanted to do? And why didn't you do them? You know, now obviously if you lost your job or you lost loved ones, then those, you know, there's nothing you could have done. But if you've just been sitting around, you know, binge watching TV, then you haven't got the time to waste. So you need to start doing the things that you said you wanted to do. And if you've been filling it with other things that takes you away from the very thing you said you've always wanted to do, then you don't have time to wait anymore. Yeah, you need to start. You need to start today. You need to start something today. Now, I'm not only talking to yourself, I'm talking to me as well. So, you know, I know that there are things that I need to step up on, and this is a kick. A kick for me as well. So, remember that the words, the monthly words, as well as the weekly words. So the weekly word is joyous, and you had mindful, stillness, kindness, relationship, just gone. But the overall monthly word was voice and imagination. So when you step into, with joy, when you step into what your purpose is, the thing that you, and, you know, we can have different opinions about, you know, your purpose and your mission and your whatever. But when you step into that thing, you know, you've always wanted to do, that you're passionate about, that you can go to bed dreaming about it, you wake up, you wish, oh, I wish I had the time to do this. What is that? What have you been saying? What have you been saying that about? I really wish I had the time to do this. And get on and do it. Again, because there could be somebody else who's waiting on you to express your gift into the world, and that could change their life. That could mean the difference between them walking down the road to the thing that brings them passion, or staying in a job that, you know, kills them from the inside. Because they've got dreams and goals, but they were waiting for your encouragement from what you were saying to make that step. So yeah, we've all got to step up, because we've seen that life has changed dramatically in ways that we never thought possible. So you need to get on with doing the thing that you need to do. Okay, so voice, when you think about that, you know, what are you saying? So not even what you are actually saying, but what are you saying by the things that you do? You know, and imagination. What things have you been dreaming of doing? What I remember, like, you know, talking about the in a train and holding on, and in rush hour and it's all crowded, and imagining being in the Caribbean when you felt the breeze from the window that was open, and you could you know, you're standing there like that to kind of get the breeze, and you're holding on, and you shut your eyes and just thinking, I'm in the Caribbean, I'm in the Caribbean, that's the Caribbean breeze. To actually be in the Caribbean is something I never thought was possible. It wasn't anything that I'd imagined that I would be doing, but yet here I am. So those words, think about those words, and think about how that is going to impact on your creativity. Think about the things that you now need to do, the plans that you need to make, the way that you need to organize yourself, and just do it. You know, we don't have time to waste, and you don't want to go to your grave with all those unfulfilled things, that the books that you should have written, the songs you should have sung, the places you should have visited, the people you should have met and talked to, the relationships you should have had. There's so many things that you haven't got time to miss out on. So we're going to get on and do it. Okay, so let's look at the Stitch projects, and we're going to finish with the review of the book. So you've got lots of things to get on with. Okay, so let's go and see the stitches. Come on. I think I showed you this. I have finished making my book, and I've stitched in, I've literally just stitched in the each panel in here, and then I closed it, and it was just like, okay, that's it, I'm done now. But yeah, so it's going to be nice to, when I need to do another project, or when I'm working, like I'm working on some smaller, again, not some smaller things, I'm just trying out some sketches. I'll sketch some people and just putting them on fabric just to see what it would be like. And I was thinking, oh yeah, you could, you know, as opposed to stitching the outline, you could just paint it as you would normally. But I thought, no, I want to do some of these small pieces on fabric. I still do like working on fabric, so I can go through here and say, okay, so I want to fill in a part of here, so let me see what stitch is going to be the best one to do that. So the only thing I need to do now is go through them and just write the names of the stitches on here. But I need to come out because what I really wanted to show you were these two pieces that I've managed to finish. I'll show you the smaller one first. So that's this one. So you would have seen it without it. I can come back in now, I guess. You would have seen it without it being filled, and I've filled in a lot of the features and done some more additional stitching back there, and then just added some detail on the clothes. They both got some really nice necklaces they're wearing. Yeah, so I really like this, and I'm going to put it I'm going to do a back panel, although I really do like, what I might even do is just tidy this bit up, because I actually like the way it looks at the back. You can see the features, and just really tidy up all the loose bits of hair, not the loose bits of hair, loose bits of thread. But yeah, the back can often be as interesting as the front. And I've seen, there's a couple of artists that I've seen who it wouldn't look exact like this, but they use like some of the strands of the thread and leave it just hanging there, and that's part of the whole overall feel. So yeah, I might just go through and just tidy up the back. But at any case, it needs, I'll need to frame it, and so that it can be hung, or I might just put it in an actual frame itself. So that's that one. So the next one, look. So the next one, this is the other one that I was doing. I had originally just done the stitching. So what I've done is I've done the whole outline is stitched, and then I've done some decorative stitching. So for the hat, the cheeks, there's a bit here on the neck. And then what I did was get some wax. I think the sun's coming in. So get some wax, as you can see. Get some wax, and then I dyed it. Well, I painted on the dye, basically. And this is what we have. So I really like this, because I was thinking of whether I wanted to fill in a lot more of the spaces with stitches, but then I thought to myself, well, why not do what you would not what you would normally do, but do what you enjoy doing, which is the, you know, working with wax, working with paints or dyes. And these are actually fabric dyes, which is why they're not as like certain acrylics, it's not as, or if I was to use, I'm just thinking, if I was to use, like, you know, like a fabric dye-lon, like something like that, whether it would be more vibrant, or was it that as I was mixing, we've got kind of more muted colours as opposed to really vibrant ones. I think this is probably the most vibrant. So yeah, that's that. So I hope you like that, and let's come back into the studio. This review, we're going to be looking at this book called Enchanted Adornments, Creating Mixed Media Jewellery with Metal, Clay, Wire, Resin and More, and it is by Cynthia Thornton. So we'll look at the back. The back says, transform your ideas into art jewellery. Learn to infuse meaning into your jewellery with this innovative mixed media book from Cynthia Thornton, the creative mastermind of Green Girl Studios. Harness your inspiration, create magical elements from metal, clay, wire, resin and found objects, and then turn your ideas into wearable art. So, I originally got this book because I was interested in making polymer clay jewellery. So this book is split into 4 parts. In the first part, it talks about the basics and finding inspiration and how to use the book, and looking at the things that you can incorporate in your practice, such as a sketchbook, taking notes, looking at inspiration boards, symbolism, think about things that you normally use as opposed to what is popular, so you can make your jewellery a bit more personal. Then it goes on to part 2, which is the essentials, and it goes through each of the particular products, such as wire and how to manipulate it. We'll go there. Wire, and it gives you a few simple ones that you can try, and they're really actually quite effective. Polymer clay, so it goes through different types of polymer clay. The only one that it doesn't feature here is the Fimo clay, but they're all very similar in that you oven bake them. Precious metal clay and how to prepare it, and working with the metal clay and all of the tools and supplies that you need. Texturing clay, so it looks at other things that you can use to make marks in the clay and give it some texture. And then finishes, so how do you finish, how do you, so this is all creating your own textures in the clay. And then it looks at how do you create molds, and it's actually quite a great book in the sense that it's got so many different tutorials that you can dip into and learn how to use and manipulate the products. And then it goes into resin, because some of the projects uses resin. So all of the examples and tutorials are there for you to be able to come out with a really nice finished product. And the next part, which is, let me just double check, part three, so it says, it starts off with every charm has a story. Now this is a really lovely book, as I keep saying, because the author weaves in her love for storytelling. So every charm has a story. It says, sometimes inspiration is so exquisite, the only explanation for it is magic. This chapter is home to jewelry projects, each filled with illustrious magic. The chapter begins with a story. A jewelry maker is summoned to create 20 distinct pieces for a group of mysterious friends. With little backstory, the jewelry maker trusts in her client and sets out traveling to surreal lands. So the rest is projects, and in the beginning of every project there is a story, and she sets a scene in the first part, and then, as I say, every project there's a story. So there's lots of lovely jewelry for you to make, different things for you to make out of the clay, polymer clay, resin, and think about using it in different ways. Like there's a project here which uses, it's not this one, it's the one, actually we might not have come to it, but there's one where you make wings out of wire and then you dip it in resin and then you colour it with pigment paints. And so, as I say, every single, it's this one, so these have been dipped in resin, and then you've got wire embellishments as well as pigment colouring. So the fictitious character is given 2 months, April, May, I think either 2 months or just under 2 months to create all these pieces for 19 characters that in this story, and she meets everyone, and it is like a magical tale of adventure. And it's a good book in that it helps you to take note of your surroundings and inspiration from your surroundings, and maybe even carve your own story and start writing yourself. And it's a really lovely way to bring together creating these pieces with a story, and each one has elements of it that is personal to the characters that she has created. And it's got lovely photography. Each one shows you clearly what the piece is, and I love the different colours as well. The all of the imagery in here is Cynthia's, as well as the jewellery that she makes. And yeah, it's a lovely book to have, and some of the pieces are just amazing to think that you can, out of a metal clay, that you can create something that looks like this. So this is the book. In the final, let's see, the final bit, it's troubleshooting. So if you have any issues with the particular material, then it's not only through trial and error, but there may be things in here that you may be able to have a look and think, oh, actually it's this. And then it's got resources and, again, just little bits of advice as to firing and working with resin. The other thing it's got at the back is the contributors. So whilst some of the main projects are done by Cynthia, she's pulled together contributors who has made some of the projects in here as well. So that's Enchanted Adornments. So what did you think? What did you think of the book? The book is really lovely, and she really does know how to... She writes the kind of stories that I like to read. It's like the very kind of, you know, escaping into the story, and you imagine yourself going along and meeting the same characters, the 19 characters that she's going to meet, to create their pieces of jewellery for them. So yeah, I really... Every book I've got, I was like, yeah, I really think you should get this one. But if you can get hold of a copy and have a look at it, if you're into mixed media jewellery, then you'll like this book. And if you're into the stories and the meaning behind the pieces, then yeah, it's something that you will like. So what did you think of the... What did you think of the art? So yeah, I'm glad I gave myself time to finish my pieces, and I think it's when I think about this whole, you know, stitch journey, I think the essence for me was that you're using the stitching and the creating in this way as a tool for mindfulness, for relaxation, as a therapeutic tool. And if it becomes something that you are not looking forward to, then you have to re-examine what it is about that. What is it about that? And I think that's what happened with the book, that it started out as something I've always wanted to learn additional stitches, but then it became more, sorry, let me just turn this off. It became more of a chore because of how I'd done it, and then, you know, just I was doing so many other things as well, and I was going to turn it into a real production beforehand. If I had gone ahead and done what I'd originally planned, it would be like, you know, like you're setting yourself up for burnout anyway. But yeah, I'm glad I did the 50 stitches, and I'm glad I'm now incorporating, which is one of the things I wanted to do in the beginning, incorporate what I've learned into stitch projects. So I will be doing a bit more, but I really love how these have turned out. And I think what it is that as you gain more information, I haven't necessarily done additional, you know, new stitches on here, but I've been more experimental with the stitches that I'm doing, and I've never, whilst I've painted, I mean, I guess they're very, you know, very much the same. They're similar in the sense that I painted on this. This is originally how I would have done it. Did you hear that? That's the coal comes out of this. There's this little gap in the door that he comes out. But if he's chasing like a bird, or it's usually the birds, he dashes himself and so hits the corners. Anyway, but the new thing about this then, I guess, is the batik and using the wax. And so it's a mixed media piece where you've got, you know, the stitching, you've got the painting, the wax. Yeah. So your task is to think about the word joyous and what brings you joy. What is it that you're doing that you need to maybe change, and enjoy the journey. So I look forward to connecting with you. Please do leave a comment. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we're on this creative journey together. So take care for now.